Laura, I can see that you now have your clothing business idea, or at the very least, you know now how to come up with profitable business ideas. The next step for you will be coming up with business names for your clothing business, right? Don't worry, I've got you. It's part of what you'll be learning as I show you how to start your clothing business in 30 days, like I promised. If you're new to this channel, welcome to the How to Start a Clothing Business in 30 Days series. Today is day 4. I will be looking at how to come up with a classy and unique business name for your new clothing business. In our last video, the day 3 of the series, I showed you how to find, target, and attract your ideal customers for your new clothing business. I recommend that you go and watch that video. It's right before this one. It's also linked in the description for ease. But here's a quick summary of everything that was discussed in that video. First, we looked at the difference between your ideal audience and your target audience. Yes, there's a difference and I explained it in the video. Then we looked at how you can identify your target market for your business. I shared how my clients did it. After that, I discussed the worst way to find customers for your new clothing business as a beginner. Then I talked about how you can target the right customers for your clothing business using my secret framework, the ones that we used to teach our one-on-one clients. And finally, some questions to ask yourself to attract people to your clothing business after using the framework. In today's video, we'll first look at what you must do before you figure out your clothing business name. That's the pre-stage level. Then what to do when coming up with a clothing business name for your new business. This part is particularly important because I've seen a lot of beginners make some of the mistakes that I will discuss in this part. Then we'll look at the key elements that makes up a good business name. Next, we'll look at some of the framework that I used to teach my clients to help them come up with classy and unique business names. And lastly, we'll look at the 3 things you must do immediately after figuring out your preferred clothing business name or names. Your clothing business name is the identity that your business will take the moment it goes live. So it needs to be something that you actually want out there. Most beginners often overthink this process when starting their business, but all you actually need is the right strategy. For this part of this video, we'll look at the pre-stage strategies and specifically 3 things you must do before you start figuring out the names that you want to use or the ones that you like for your clothing business. The first on my list is you must decide if you want to build a brand or just a store. The difference is a clothing business where the founder wants to build a brand, the process of coming up with a name is more, intentional as opposed to somebody who just wants to start a business for the sake of having one. So be very honest with yourself here. I also want to say that there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing either of what I just said. Just be completely honest with yourself when you're deciding which of them you want. Next, you need to understand your ideal audience and the clothing brands that they like according to your chosen niche. In the last video, I shared one of my clients' journey as per usual, and I mentioned that we were only able to really figure out who her competitors were from first knowing who her ideal audience was. I even mentioned that the competitors that she thought she had turned out to be different when we uncovered her ideal audience using my framework. Seriously, go and check out that video. When you figured out your competitors, take your time to spy on them. You're not spying so that you copy them. You're spying to see and understand the tone of their brand because the tone of the brand is why your ideal audience is drawn to them in the first place. If it's something that you want, I could show you how to spy on your clothing business competitors the right way, but that will be when you join our Start Your Business program. In the program, I'll show you what to look for, what is important and what isn't important when spying, and a lot more things that beginners like you might ignore, but is actually very important if you must start a successful clothing business, which I believe is something that you want. I'll leave the link to this program in the description so you can take your time to check it out. Lastly, decide on the tone of your clothing business. The tone of your clothing business is the vibe or aesthetic of your business. If you learn how to spy on your competitors, like I spoke about earlier, you realize that the tone of their business is reflected in their business names as well. There's a mistake that I have seen beginners make. Even my one-on-one clients made this mistake. Some of them do before we work together. The mistake is using restrictive keywords as their business name. So last year, around July or so, I had a client whom we shall call Diana for the sake of this video. Diana initially wanted to buy contact lists from us. At the time, we didn't sell the business kits. We only sold the contact lists by themselves. And then clients who needed more help would reach out to either me or any of my partners, and then we would attend to them throughout their journey. So Diana bought the swimwear contact list, and because she needed more help, she reached out to me and we began to work together. When we got to the business registration and branding stage, she told me that she had already registered her business and that she just wanted to do a little rebranding. Instinctively, I asked her what the business was registered under, the name, what it was registered under, just basic questions to understand her situation better. When she mentioned the name of the business she wanted to rebrand to a swimwear brand, it completely contradicted her new business model and niche. While I ask my clients for permission to share their stories so that you can learn from them, I still respect their privacy. So I won't share what the brand was previously called. But just know that she used to resell other brands' fashion items. And it wasn't just clothes, there were also bags, perfumes, shoes, and so on. Take your time to imagine what the name of the brand would have been. That's exactly what it was called. Now, of course, we couldn't continue using that name, so we changed it, which brings us to the big question. What should you avoid when naming your clothing brand? Like I said earlier, avoid keywords that will never let you scale if and when the time comes. Example of these keywords are the ones that describe the business. Yes, I know you're selling ready to wear pieces in wholesale. You don't have to add that to your business name. What if you change your mind in 3 years' time? What if you decide to scale and or expand to where you start selling in retail or you start selling bespoke wares? What then? What would then happen? So really think about that before you decide on your clothing business name. If you must, have an umbrella name and then play with the keywords as sister brands. What I mean is if let's say your business name is Dianette, for example, and you sell ready to wear blazers, female blazers, when you want to scale, you could add the mother company name, which is Dianette, with the keyword of your choice. So, for instance, Dianette Swim or Dianette Swimwear if you expand to selling swimwears, or Dianette Gents if you decide to sell blazers for men too. So, I mentioned that we sold contact list earlier. I want to point out that now things are different. What we have are business kits. We realized that by selling contact alone, we weren't really providing much assistance to help you, a complete beginner that is trying to start your fashion business from scratch. So the kit now contains resources that you need to have a stress-free experience working with manufacturers for your new business. What you will find inside includes the contact details of manufacturing companies that specialize in different products. There are companies that can make the products from scratch with your requirements and those that will sell to you in wholesale if that is what you want. There's also a business guide in the kit that teaches you how to work with them like a pro, even though you're just a beginner. The guide was written entirely from our collective experiences working with Chinese manufacturers. You'll find many more things in the kit, so I'll just leave the link in the description for you to learn more about the kit. When Diana and I were coming up with her own business name, I gave her a list to check off. From the list, names that didn't meet all the conditions were to be disregarded. This was after I gave her the framework that we'll discuss in the next part of this video. The rules of the list are not ironclad, but it helps you eliminate unnecessary business name ideas and it also helps you see if what you have is good enough. So let's go over what is in the list. First, the list says that a good business name is memorable. Next, it is concise or rhythmic. Thirdly, it follows the vibe or tone of your brand. You know what vibe is. Just make sure that the name is following it. Fourthly, if it's in another language, make sure it doesn't evoke the wrong emotion or an emotion that is completely opposite to what your business embodies. Lastly, a good name allows you to scale in the future if need be. For a business name to be classy or unique, there are a couple of factors involved, but immediately you get the hang of it, you have fun with the process. What I'm about to share are some of the ways that I teach my clients to come up with good business names. These methods are no secrets, but the way that I teach them is where the sauce is. There are more than 5 ways, but I will discuss only 2 in this video. The rest are for our students, the ones that will join the Start Your Business program. The first method is for you to translate words in another language. It sounds easy, right? Anyone can do it, right? Wrong. In practice, which is the main deal anyway, and it's also how I teach my clients to do it. First, you decide on the word that you want to use. After deciding, go to your dictionary and look at the thesaurus. It will show you more words that are synonymous to what you want. Take note of all of them that you like. Then, take those words and look up their translation in another language. Words sound sophisticated after you translate them. Just make sure the translation doesn't mean something worse in another language. Rinse and repeat till you find a translation that you like. The next method is to use your name or a name that you like. If you have one of those cute or sophisticated one word names, you should use it. Just make sure someone else from your country of residence is not already using it. For Diana, she wanted to use her first name. It's a really nice name, but we found out that it was already in use by another brand selling fashion wares too. So she just translated her middle name in one of her favorite languages and decided to use that instead. At this point, you have an idea of what to do before figuring out your business name. You also know what to do while doing so. The obvious next step would be what you should do after figuring things out. The first thing you need to do is make sure that the name you have chosen is legally allowed in your country of residence or wherever your business is going to be located. We had a one on one client from Ethiopia, and there was a name she wanted to use because she felt like it described what she wanted to do better. Anyways, we learned that the name was a restricted name according to the federal law there, so she legally couldn't use it. Ethnic names are allegedly prohibited from being used as trade names or something like that. So that was what happened to her. The next thing you should do is make sure the name is not already registered to another business or trademarked. For Diana, not only was her first name being used as a business name for another clothing business, they had trademarked it. It was crazy because at the time, which was last year, that business wasn't even on social media. Yet she couldn't use the name because they had trademarked it. I think I've mentioned the Start Your Business program a lot in this video, but you will learn the legal parts of owning a clothing business in the program. I genuinely don't think that it's part of this series, but it's extensively discussed in the program, so I definitely recommend the program. You don't want to start your clothing business already breaking laws, do you? Lastly, you need to make sure that the name you've chosen is free on social media. As long as you plan to sell online, you will need your business name on the platforms that you want to grow on to be in unison. So after crossing these off, you're ready to move on to the next step. In the meantime, if you want to start your fashion clothing business in any of these niches, these kits are packed with everything you need. From the right companies that understand how to work with a small business owner of your level to a business guide that teaches you how to position yourself as a pro, even though you're a complete beginner, and much more. I'll leave the link to all these kits in the description, so make sure you check that out. At the beginning of this video, I said I wanted to show you something. Well, this is it. This is a sneak peek of what the students will learn in the week 2 of the Start Your Business program. The reason I'm showing this to you is because I believe that you need to fully understand everything that is here. So you need to understand budgeting your business capital. And you need to know this because if your clothing business, your new clothing business will ever turn out well, this part is a very important part. And there are other aspects that most people overlook, but you learn them and act accordingly. You also learn the legal parts, just like I mentioned earlier, and the social media parts of starting your clothing business. If you know that you need more help than what the business kits or the free series will provide, because I know you will, you're a beginner. I know you want to get things right on your first try. You don't want to be one of those what I ordered versus what I got, what I expected versus what I got people, you need to join the Start Your Business program. The first session of the program starts in August this year, but it will not be open to everyone. I'll leave the link in the description box so that you can go and learn more about the program. I would also like to invite you to join our inner circle. It's our newsletter, and honestly, the only way that you can get updates on our offers, our freebies, our exclusive news before our YouTube family sees or hears about it. I'll leave the link to it in the description box. In the next video, which is day 5 of this series, I'll be discussing how to figure out the best type of logo for your clothing business. If you have any questions so far, feel free to leave it in the comments. I'm always happy to reply them. Thank you for watching the video and making it to this point. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. If you haven't liked the video, please do so. Have an awesome day. I'll see you in the next video. Laura.